Hey YouTube, it's Resale Tessa. I'm coming here to you today with a little bit of an update on the business. I know it's been a couple months since I've actually done a video, and I've been busy here at home working, but I thought it was time to actually give a little bit of an update. Not doing a haul video or anything like that today. It's just a few points, some things that I've learned along the way, some goals that I'm setting for myself, just some things that I thought you guys might be interested in knowing. So that's where we're at. So the first thing I was going to do is just give you a very quick update on my family and business and where we are with things. As far as family goes, it's been a very crazy couple of months. My youngest child, my son, graduated in June, and we just dropped him off at college on this past Friday. So we are officially empty nesters, and everybody has gone on their way. Of course, he'll be back in the summer, though he may end up getting an apartment, so he may not actually move back in the summer. But I guess we'll see. That just kind of remains to be seen. My oldest daughter, who got married last year and moved to Florida, was actually here last week, and that meant I didn't get a lot done last week, but it was a nice meeting with her. And my middle daughter actually showed up and spent some time with us as well. So it was a great week. It was very busy, and that's just all fun. My husband is still working his job, though he's getting more and more frustrated with it, I do believe, and probably, more and more wanting to actually work for himself. And that brings me to the business. We still have a goal of becoming completely self-employed and supporting ourselves with our resale business by the beginning of next year and being able to buy a house in April. So he will probably continue to work at least until that point, just because it's going to be a little bit harder to try and get a mortgage with our resale business, and especially with not having a good year behind us in sales. The increase in sales is probably not going to be enough to carry us. So at this point, we're just hoping that the business will be enough to help us pay down all of our debt and get some money in the bank. So that's the goal, that we will have a down payment on a house and pay down the debt. And then maybe after we get moved, then we can discuss, him actually quitting and us doing this full time. So we'll also be looking for a property that will be good for the resale business, like a basement or, an extra large garage or something like that. So that's also one of our, little concerns. Now, as far as my business numbers, I do usually try and share those with you guys. And I believe I shared May's, which was my highest sales ever on eBay, just my eBay. Now, we do have a few different eBay. I have 2 eBay accounts. He has 2 eBay accounts. We each have a store. And we also sell on Amazon FBA. I also sell on Etsy. And I actually, in July, started selling on Poshmark as well. So we do have multiple streams of income. Sorry, I kind of thought maybe there was somebody at my door, but it sounds like it's a horn. Okay. Max, hush. So we do have multiple streams of income. So I do track both my individual eBay, but I track our sales as a whole so that I know where we're at. Now, our goal for the past few months has actually been to hit $3,000 in sales for the month. And we've not quite hit that. We're coming just shy of that. But May, my sales alone on eBay were over 1,700. So I was very excited about that. And I think I shared that with you guys. And then June, of course, we hit the summer slowdown. Mine's dropped down to about 1,250 for the month. But our total sales were 2,200. We stayed pretty steady between May and June with our combined sales. We still stayed around $2,200. And actually, it was within $30 actually between those 2 months. But our combined sales stayed pretty much the same. So we were very glad to see steady sales. That's actually really good during summer slowdown. So it shows I'm doing something correctly. I'm doing something right. And I'm not very concerned with summer slowdown. So that's always a good thing. July was another really good month. My sales on eBay were actually 1,480. So almost hit the 1,500 mark, which is awesome. Still not at that 1,750 that I had hit in May, but definitely seen an increase. Now, I did change some things that I was doing over the month of July, and I delisted a bunch of old inventory that had been sitting there for more than a year. I also have been restructuring some of my listings. So if I had items that I was selling for, $2, $3, $4, that were similar, then I actually have been lotting them up and going ahead and moving them out. So I started out at about 670 listings, I think, in May, and currently this month I am back down to around 560. So definitely less listings, but my sales have actually gone up. So that's good. I'm trying not to list anything that is less than $10 and kind of gradually even trying to knock out and not even list some things that are $14 or less. So you're not going to see most of the items that are in my stores currently that are less than 10 are either old inventory or things that I have dropped the price on, just trying to move it and get rid of it. So and then there comes a point where something's just been sitting there for so long, as I'm coming across it, I'm going ahead and delisting it. But I did decide to lot up like my Leapfrog fridge phonics. I've been selling fridge phonics letters pretty much since I started this whole eBay as a business thing, and I sold them separately, and I could pick them up for like $1.50 for an entire bag. So you figure it might be 26 letters in that bag, and then turn around and you just add them to the quantity. And I could sell those for, when I first started, I think I was selling them for probably about $5 a piece. And then gradually it just got to where it was just lower and lower. And it was end up, I think at last count, it was like $1.99 a letter plus $2.60 for shipping. And I was only selling one every month, maybe every other month. And so when it got down to that slow, it's like, well, it's not really worth even hanging on to. I'm tired of storing these, and wasn't picking them up anymore. So I lotted them up and sold the entire box for $29. So basically should have gotten my money back for them. Definitely didn't go in the hole, but I moved them out of my store. I am actually fixing to lot up a bunch of other Leapfrog stuff. I do have some more fridge phonic type stuff like the Fridge Farm. There was a car wash. I had several of the Fridge Farm animal pairs that I was selling separately, and I was selling them for like $6.99 a piece. They hadn't really sold recently. I'm just going to lot all that stuff up and sell one big Leapfrog lot. So again, if I get 20 bucks to a lot, then that's great. I will do shipping separate, so I won't be out anything. I'll get my money back. I promise I didn't pay more than 20 bucks for all of it. So I'm still in the green, and I'm going to move the inventory. And that way I can take that 20 bucks and put it into better inventory. So that's where I have been. Our sales for July, even though my sales were not quite the highest at $1,480, our combined sales for July was $2,600 for the month. That is the highest that we've ever had in 1 month of combined sales from all of our streams. So very happy with that we're seeing an upward trend, and hoping that coming into fourth quarter that things will get better. So definitely shouldn't get worse with the things that I've done. The next thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was surrounding yourself with people who know what they're doing, and finding people that you can talk to, finding mentors. That's one of the reasons why the reseller meetup is an awesome thing, because, my husband and I got to meet Prof Sales and his girlfriend Karin. And so, her and Jason have been an awesome inspiration to us. They've given us great advice. It's great to have those type of friends. I also am a member of the reseller squad, and listening to them, not on a daily basis, but almost a daily basis, participate in their challenges. All those things are really great. So the one that I wanted to talk to you about today specifically, though, was Casey Parris, who is the Rockstarflipper. And he has a group, I believe it's Thrift or Reseller group or something. I have several reseller groups on my eBay, so which one is actually his, right this second, I'm not real sure of. But I've been a member of his group now for a while, and he recently, this year, started offering membership to another group, but you had to pay. And I have always kind of been against the resellers that want to give out their information for a lot of money. But Casey has done this group. I think it's just $20 a month is what he started it as. and he only allows so many people, so he's not going to allow it to get too busy. And as people, either get what they need and they drop out, then he can add new people. But he doesn't want to be overwhelmed with it. And if you decide to stay in for multiple months, he will drop the price. So for what I pay per month, this will be my second month that's in the group. He puts up BOLO list. He puts up separate lists for clothing. He puts up BOLO lists for electronics. And he also has an accountability spreadsheet on there. Now, I have my own spreadsheet that I use, but I may still participate in his just because it's good for the group to see what you're doing and offer you encouragement, and you can ask questions. The VIP group is small. It's only a few hundred people. So actually, I'm not even sure if it's that many. It might not even be that many at this point. But for what I'm paying, it's actually very nice. And I actually had a one-on-one with Casey yesterday, which is, again, what prompted me to do this video in the first place. And it's part of his VIP group, so it's part of what you're paying for. And the one-on-one actually was awesome. He schedules you for an allotment of 15 to 20 minutes, but we actually end up going 30 minutes. I guess he didn't have the next one. Maybe he didn't have another appointment for that next 30 minutes. But so he stayed on with me a little bit longer, but we talked about goals. He talked about what my 60-day total was from my app, how many items I had sold. Basically told me I was doing good. My sell-through rate was good. He figured up that my average sale price on my items is currently about $20 an item, $19, $20, which is about what I had guessed as well. Even just kind of looking at it without actually doing the actual math, I kind of knew that my average was probably about 20. And then he also talks about how many items I have, and that if I want to reach, $3,000 a month, then I'm probably going to want 1,000 items in inventory, which I kind of had guessed that anyways. But it's great to have the confirmation. And then he said he honestly sees that if I can continue my trend with listing and selling, that I'm honestly probably won't have any trouble hitting $4,000 a month by October. That's awesome to hear. That's great that, going the way that I'm going and changing the processes that I'm changing and working on things and changing my sourcing practices and things, that I'm on the right track and that my growth should continue. So that's awesome. He encouraged me with the hard goods to try and list 10 to 20 items a day, that I should be at 750 by I believe September 1st. And definitely should be able to hit that $4,000 limit here pretty quick. Let's see here. So it was nice to have the goals, have someone to look at. And so the things that I'm getting from this one-on-one with him and from this group, the one-on-one obviously, and that's, invaluable. So that's awesome. And then of course he's helping me to set some goals, some tangible goals. Sometimes it's hard. And I've noticed it with my goal board that sometimes I'll set a goal. I'll either set it too low and I'll blow the goal out of the water, or I'll set it too high and then it takes us 3 months to hit it. So it's nice to have someone else's perspective at where I should be and what we should be striving for. So that's awesome. He also talked to me about my picture efficiency. And so currently we use a camera and an SD card and I transfer things. He did encourage me to try and switch over to Dropbox or Google Play and try to use those for pictures instead. Or, either way, doing it on my phone and not on a camera. I'm still not sure if I'm going to attempt that one, just because currently my schedule works for me, that I list during the day. And then if I take pictures, I really don't like to take pictures. So plan to get up in the morning, take pictures, and then go straight into drafting. And then at night when I sit in front of the TV, I already have drafts ready and pictures. And then the next day I start over with any new drafts that I did the day before. Those items will be photographed the next morning. And so that's kind of been my goal. I've not quite been getting there, and I've got to really be more disciplined at getting up in the morning and getting those things done. So that's kind of what I'm working on. And I'm going to work on that a little bit more before I worry about trying to change my picture process just yet. I'd like to just get in the habit of taking pictures every day. And then if I think I can shave the time off by using Dropbox or doing it on my phone, then I might. Now, I will say my Poshmark, I have hit ambassador on Poshmark, and I do have a helper that has been coming in to help me. who's actually been listing, and she likes to take the pictures and do the listing all at one time. She would rather not just take a bunch of pictures and then try to upload them. It just complicates things for her, I think. And so, hold on, sorry. Check on a dog. Nina, where'd you go? You behaving yourself? Okay. Just got to check on the puppy. So, she has been doing that. Poshmark has really not done anything. In fact, at this point, I've not sold anything in 2 weeks. So I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to have her come out. And actually, she's going to start homeschooling her kids next week. So she's going to be busy anyways. And I'm not sure that our schedule, our routine this summer is going to work anyways. So something there may change. And I may actually start using my phone to take a bunch of pictures of clothes and then go from there. So it might be that with the hard goods and the things that I sell on eBay, that I do better with a phone, with a camera, but then do Poshmark clothes with my phone. So it may be that I have two different processes. And we're just going to play that one by ear. The other thing that Casey and I discussed was wholesale sources. Discussed that I've tried bulk, that I've, had 3 different orders. One of them was a complete flop and I didn't make any money on. The second one, I might have broke even with that one. The second one, I definitely made a little bit, but again, it was closer to breaking even than it was anything. And the third one was actually really good, but I've not found another manifest that I liked enough to even buy that would have been as good as that one. So I'm just not having the luck with bulk that I would hope to have. And then Blue Lots, I haven't found anything that I would want to buy, and I've looked on there several times. Liquidation.com, I think, is the other one, and currently our capital is not high enough to really see anything from Liquidation, because if I'm going to buy from them, it's probably going to have to be a pallet, and that means you're definitely dealing with some steep shipping, especially coming from the West Coast and me being on the East Coast. So those are just not feasible at this point. He did recommend another one that we're going to try out, so we'll see how that goes. And I already kind of touched on this one, but the last thing that we talked about was accountability. And it definitely helps to have someone that knows your goals that you can check in with. And so one of the great values in being a member of this VIP group is that I will be checking in with him and telling him how many active listings I have by the end of the month. And then he also, like I said, has that spreadsheet on the group to help keep you accountable. So that's awesome. So just think about those things. It's always good to continue to increase your knowledge, do the research, whether it's watching YouTube videos, reading books on business, talking to like-minded people. It's always a good thing to do that. You always want to expand your mind and not just get in the rut of doing things your own way, because if you get in the rut of doing things your own way, you're going to get left behind, and the market changes and the world changes, and then you're just going to get left. So you definitely have to continue to, research and learn and try new things. So the third thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was an inventory overhaul. I actually completely redid my inventory during the month of July, going into August, I guess. And originally, my inventory was a combination of location and category storage. So in other words, it was location related, but then I would still have my items boxed by like items. So like I would have all of my DVDs in one box, and I would have, all my plushies in one container, and, it worked well. When I was a very small business and I only had 3 little plastic shelves in a room, it worked really well. I took stuff back, I put things away, and then I knew where it was. And originally I didn't even have a location on them. And it wasn't until I got a little bigger that I actually started doing location and went to banker boxes, which works really well for a lot of things, and especially when you're doing games and you're talking small pieces. But as my sourcing has changed and I've gotten into a lot of bigger items, I am slowly going to be moving over to a lot more plastic bins, I think, because they hold more items. But I also realized that my process, once I have listed the item and I go to put it away, it was taking me too much time trying to put things away, because I would get in there and I'd be like, okay, this item is vintage. Do I put it in the vintage box or do I put it in the other box? because it's a toy. So I had, toys in different places. And so I had things, like I said, separated, and it was good because if I didn't know where something was, or if I went and it wasn't where I thought it was, like if I said I originally, when I did the listing, I put that it was going to be put in the vintage box, but then I ended up putting it in a box of toys, then I had to kind of go look for it. But I knew within a box or two where it was going to be. It's not like I had to look through every single box to know where it was. So I really thought that my process was good. But then I realized that I was procrastinating putting the stuff away because it took me so long to sit and go through and put everything in boxes. And when you have 3 big heavy duty warehouse shelves full of boxes and you're having to go through, and then I was using up time, valuable time, at keeping track of my label list on which box had which items in. So I was having to constantly go back and revise my label list and put, okay, C1, C2, and C3 are all plushies. And I would have to go through and redo my label thing every time I had to either add a box, or if I wasn't using a box anymore because I wasn't selling those items anymore. It just was it was just too much work. And so you realize very quickly that your time is worth money and you have to switch some things. So I decided to go to strictly location. And in that process, I had to go through and basically touch every single item in every box and basically combined all my boxes. So if I had a box that was half empty because it only had 2 items in it, now I turned around and I just labeled the box with the location. So each shelf has a letter. So I have currently three big warehouse shelves. So A, B, and C, and then each box is a number. And it actually worked really well. It ended up being that instead of 3 shelves worth of inventory, I actually managed to get all of my inventory on 2 shelves worth of boxes because I no longer had empty space in the boxes because the things were by category. So like sometimes my DVD box would get down and it only have, half a box of DVDs in there because I hadn't listed any. So I no longer have that issue because now everything is just by location. So what I do is I don't even put a custom label in there when I'm drafting it, which I was doing before. And instead, when I get ready to actually list the items and I already have the pictures taken, I will sit down, and as I am finishing the listing and adding the pictures, I have a box sitting there that's already labeled, and I go ahead and label the custom label then until that box is full. I close that box and put it on the shelf. There is no more having to go through and put items in different boxes and remember where I put it. Now, the downside to this is if I ever mislabel anything, I will have to go through every single box to figure out where that item is. So that's the downside. But this process actually is going to be, I'm probably going to have less of those mistakes because of the way that I'm doing it. There should not be as many of those type mistakes. And a lot of times I think I'm probably going to notice pretty soon when I'm looking at my listings, oh, that doesn't have a custom label. I just did that yesterday. That should be in this box. I can go and double check and add the custom label. So because now I have a custom label on everything, where before I really wasn't as diligent about my custom labels because I just kind of threw them in a box when I got back there anyways. It just wasn't, I knew where it was. So I really don't think that that's going to be an issue. So that's the third thing that's been going on. The fourth thing that I wanted to go over with you is actually not about anything that's going on around here, but I wanted to share something with you that was actually kind of changing for me and made me really think about what I was doing. And again, like I said, I think you have to think about expanding your mind and think about learning new things and talking to people that are doing the same thing you're doing, people who are successful. It's that whole, rich dad, poor dad thing that you don't want to go to someone who's broke and ask them about money. So you don't want to go to someone who has failed at eBay and ask them how to do eBay. You want to go to someone who's doing well at eBay, who's supporting themselves. If that's where you're headed, that's the type of people that you need to talk to. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to reach out to people and talk to them about the ideas that that they have and the systems that are working for them. So in watching people on YouTube and on Facebook, there's been a couple different things. I actually was, the funny thing, this is actually just a TV show, but I was watching a video on Dr. Phil, and one of the things that he talked about was habits that we continue to do there's a payoff. So habits and behaviors that you're having a hard time changing, what is the payoff for not changing or doing it? And so one of the things I said, why am I not getting all that much listing done? Why am I, I need to get more listing done. Why am I not getting it done? And one of the things is the payoff for it is I do like to just kind of veg out at the end of the day or late in the afternoon. I like more TV time. I like to get more sleep. Turning the mind off when you're overwhelmed by everything in your life. Sometimes just turning your mind off and just vegging out watching TV is a great thing. It's just kind of relaxing. So I realized that was kind of my payoff for not getting those things done, that I was just kind of, I don't want to say being lazy, because I still have a lot of other things around the house that I'm doing, but I'm choosing to take the easy road out and relax in the afternoons rather than work during that time when I have a block of time that I could be working on the business. And so continuing with that, when I started thinking about what that payoff, I also saw a video by Rake and Profit, or Steve Rakin, and one of the things that he said was, what are we willing to sacrifice now to see our vision of the future come to fruition? And so in that question, it pretty much circled back to the other question that I had seen on Dr. Phil. And I realized that I really, really want this. And so I need to start working for it. And it means I need to give up things. I need to give up TV time and relaxing time. And yes, I think it's good to have a day or two a week that you're relaxing. Don't get me wrong. You need to rest. I do believe in that. I, believe God told us that we need to rest on the seventh day. So, don't think you're supposed to work all the time. And I require 7 hours sleep. So I cannot give up that 7 hour block. I need to get that 7 hours. Otherwise, I don't function. I don't think straight. And then I just end up spinning my wheels. So that's a requirement for me. And I have figured that much out. So that's not negotiable. But anything over that, like sleeping in on Saturday morning and sleeping in until, 10 o'clock with my husband, that's negotiable. Like, we can stop doing that. And so that's one of the things we've been doing the past couple months. We've been trying to get up on Saturdays and go do our sourcing and get it done earlier. And we've actually had much better sourcing days. So it's been great. I've also worked a little bit harder at not turning the TV on, sometimes because I'm here by myself during the day. I will turn the TV on in the background and just kind of let it run. And even though I'm not really watching it, it's still a distraction. It's still keeping me from focusing. So I've been trying to do less of that. I think that's part of the reason why my eBay sales are up, is because I have been trying to focus more on that part of my business and not, really focusing on it. And then, like I said, I also have put other things in place, like redoing my inventory and then getting a helper with Poshmark. But I also have a helper that comes out once a week and does some photographs for me. So, I'm definitely had changes that I've made. The Reseller Squad actually put up a great quote, and I think it goes along with this as well. And it said, and I'm not going to quote this word for word just because I don't have it here in front of me, but I wrote it and put it on my fridge. But it actually says that your life will not change until your commitment to your dreams becomes more than the commitment to your comfort zone. So, wait, I have to pause this. All right. Sorry, I'm back. Have to answer those calls from kids, especially when they go off to college and they start calling you. So he doesn't call me very often. And today's his first full day of classes. And he started a new job. So had to answer the phone call. So anyways, the last thing that I was talking about was the quote from the Reseller Squad that someone put up. And that is that your life will not change until your commitment to your dreams becomes more than the commitment to your comfort zone. So, and that may not be, that's probably not the exact quote, because like I said, I'm doing it from memory, not actually quoted word for word from what actually was written. But it makes so much sense. And if you want to do this and you want to do this as a business, you need to make sure, what is your why? What is the reason why you're doing this? And that's kind of the reason why I was doing this video, was just to kind of reconfirm why I'm doing this and what my goals are and kind of get back into it. So that is it for today. If you have any questions, I would love to hear from some of my listeners. I know probably lost a few in the last couple months, but I'm still here, still working, still doing the business. So again, like, subscribe, and let me know you're out there. So happy listing.